They try to drown me, I can swim upstream so profoundly. I can stay calm in a dire situation. I'm at it every day, no time for a vacation. And I smell blood in the water. Everything I do, yeah, I do it for my daughters. Now I'm gonna shut your lips. It's time for a brand new episode of What? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, said it's time for a brand new episode of Talking Jit.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for clicking on the link. I truly do love and appreciate every single click you guys give me. Every single listen adds up, and it's getting the ball rolling on this whole entire project, and it is growing, and it's all thanks to you guys. So really quickly, I didn't want to get started without saying thank you first and foremost. That being said, don't make fun of me too much, but I wrote this one down, so I'm pretty much just rereading it back, and I don't read too good. So today's content is called Breaking It Down. It's for those overthinkers, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Go easy on me. Anyone out there having trouble getting to the gym? Aim for the parking lot. If you make it to the parking lot, are you really going to let yourself leave at that point? Find the point of no return. What do I mean by that? I mean, get yourself to the spot or place physically and mentally you know is too far before you have to chicken out. You got to know where you won't turn around and concentrate on getting there. There's no need to worry about the whole task. Just get to where you will start the task. It's simple. Here's an example of how this has become huge for me. It's tough being the nail in jiu-jitsu, and at times I would argue being a smaller 160 to 170 pound nail in a room full of giant hammers makes it even tougher. You guys know who you are. Taking the ass whoopings day in and day out makes it tougher and tougher to find motivation for coming back. I would stress myself out daily about how training was going to go before I even got there. Like, who am I going to tap? Who's going to tap me? Am I getting better? Do I actually suck? It's easy to talk yourself into staying home and eating Twinkies, but chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, that's not an option for you either. You're probably a savage if you click the link. Okay. How did I kick the habit though? I've mentioned this before on the podcast, and my trick was realizing that no matter how tough training went, I never regretted showing up. And, closer to the point, I knew once I pulled into the parking lot, there was no way I'm going to look like a coward driving off. Yeah, I don't want people catching me pulling out of the parking lot. It has become a habit to just pull into the parking lot and not much past that. Now I'm years deep in this bitch and I haven't been caught running yet. Haven't been caught. But in all seriousness, have you ever heard the question? Has anyone ever asked you the best way to eat a hippo? The answer is one bite at a time. That's right. You got to break the gigantic task down. If I told you to eat a whole hippo, you'd look at that large animal and say, there's no effing way. But if I had tickets to an all-you-can-eat buffet, you would probably say, hell yeah. The mind sees big challenges and naturally begins to grow doubts. To defeat the inner bitch we all have, we must break the challenge down into smaller, easier, almost thoughtless tasks. The same way the used car salesman starts with a cheap price to reel you in, and before you know it, you paid 300% markup on floor mats and $80 for some windshield wipers. It's the same way your mind can be tricked into taking on much, much more if it is one small step at a time, except for we reverse it into our favor this time. Start with what sounds reasonable and take a few extra reps or challenges at a time. For example, 100 push-ups sucks, but 25 push-ups aren't so bad. It's easy work, so start by cranking out 25 push-ups. Are you done yet? Great. Now you only have to do that easy task 3 more times to reach your goal of 100. Do you see what I did there? I broke it down. 100 push-ups becomes an easier 25 reps at a reasonable 4 sets. Note, if you have to do 10 reps 10 times, that's still reasonable as well. Those aren't huge numbers. The point is just get your ass to 100. Now, I understand 25 in a row isn't as hard on your muscles as 100 in a row, but over time your base task becomes easier and easier, which will allow you to up the ante periodically. There are times that I'm training a hard round and I see 4 minutes still left on the clock. My initial thought is usually, shit, I'm fucked. But what I end up doing is telling myself to fight until the clock hits 3 minutes. Next, I tell myself 2 minutes is nothing. And, I know I can handle 1 minute. Pretty soon the round ends, I'm exhausted, but I did push through. It's funny as I'm writing this, I'm realizing that even kids understand this. 5 more minutes, Dad. One more time, please. One more time. Okay. Last time. This is exactly how they stretch their impossible task out. If your kids came up to you and asked for 15 more minutes and 7 more rides right off the bat, they know the deal is off the table. They get it done 1 minute and one more ride at a time. Lastly, I want to discuss something without numbers, competition. I always resort to this because of how mentally and physically challenging it can be. The first time I walked out to the cage, I was scared shitless, man. No, for real. I was like wondering, am I really about this life and why did I do this? Not to mention the weight cut or the hard conditioning beforehand. The whole picture is heavy and exhausting. But I broke the process down the next time and it made it much more enjoyable. How did I do it exactly? Well, once the decision was made to book a competition, I understood the next step is going to be conditioning. So I just concentrate on drills and cardio. Nothing past that. I don't let my mind wander to the fight. I just stick to drills and cardio. Um, 2 to 3 weeks out from the fight or competition, it's time to start checking my weight and fine tuning my meals. Nothing past that. Just stick to what I know, what I'm doing, but add a little bit of diet onto it. Once I'm on weight, I just got to make it to the venue for weigh-ins. That's all I got to do. I have to just make it to the scale. That's pretty freaking easy. To avoid pre-fight anxiety, I do the same exact thing I said before. I just walk in, I just think about getting to the cage or mat. Why just the cage or mat? Because I've never seen anyone get to the cage door or the mat in a venue and run away at that point. I know I'm not going to be the first damn person to do that. So I just concentrate on getting to the point where it's too late for me to chicken out. Just get my feet to the door. The process is broken down into steps all the way up until the last main event. Overthinking is a total buzzkill and can make things feel much more taxing than they actually are. Your brain is ready to quit before you even start the task, if you look at the big picture. Have you ever felt this way before? I have several times, and it is up to you to convince yourself to follow through, and this has been the best method for me to date. It has pushed me through extra reps, extra rounds, and even got me to work in some mornings. I'm confident this trick will work for you in your life as well. I appreciate you listening this far, and I hope you enjoyed today's content. Please let me know via the comment box below. It doesn't matter what you're listening to this on, there's usually a box below to let me know if you enjoyed the content and if you've ever used this before or plan on using this trick. That being said, thanks for clicking. Again, I love you all. I love you all the support, and os.
I think the podcast is fucking sick. If you're listening to it and you're like, I don't know if I want to listen to the next episode of this podcast, you're probably a bitch ass. You need to listen to the next episode of this podcast and keep listening to it. Because my friends down here are trying to make shit happen. And we're
That's
going to make some shit happen.